Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Amar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are thrilled to be joined by Dr. Pamela Arnell, President and CEO of 22ZERO, a nonprofit dedicated to healing veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families through non-clinical, peer-to-peer resilience training, using protocols that eliminate trauma and emotional pain without reopening wounds. Pamela leads a national movement rooted in compassion, science, and community. Dr. Pamela, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you. And thank you so much for asking me to be on. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm excited to dive in and give the listeners a taste of what your mission is. That way, whoever wants to support can chime in. But I always like to start from the beginning. So take us back to before you joined 22ZERO. What were you doing at the time? And then what made you decide to become part of the organization?
So before joining 22ZERO, I was an officer of the court. Basically, I live in Tennessee. They are called youth service officers, and my job was to serve and protect the kids, all age groups up to the age of 18, who were either breaking the law or abused, truancy, all kinds of issues that would come to court. I would handle those matters. My boss at that time was the judge. Yes, it was. I had actually started that back in the mid 90s when I was working on my undergraduate. And the YSO at that time, I started working with her doing PRN work. And then she asked me to apply for the position full time because she was going to retire, which I
Hmm.
did in 2014, and I got the position.
Okay, there you go. That's exciting. Did you jump in as the president and CEO, or did you start somewhere else in the organization?
No, I did not jump in as the president. So I was connected to 22ZERO through my past fire chief. He's since
Got it.
retired, but I'm a first responder, been in the volunteer fire department since 2008 in my county. And basically, he had gone through the training of 22ZERO, and I'm the one who typically would be called when there's an incident with my fire members. And so he asked me to go through the training, and I finally agreed to go through the training. I kept telling him I've got enough going on, like, please. But I did. I went through the training in April of 2021. One of the things that I noticed was within that training, you actually have to go through the process. And so I've been very vocal. I had 3 calls at the fire department. And then when I was a reserve deputy for 5 years, I had 2 calls at the sheriff's department that were problematic for me. No one knew about it, but I had gone and seen my primary care doctor, and I was put on medication just so I could sleep because I
Mhm.
couldn't sleep because of those
Wow.
5 incidents. And within that training, I went through the process, and there was an immediate shift. And unless you experience going through the process, you're really not going to understand. But there was an immediate shift to the point that so the training was virtual and we were taking a break, and I walked out. My husband's worked down. I've been drinking Jack and Coke. And I said, no, I've not been drinking. And he said, I thought you were in training. I said, I have. He said, you look like you do after you've had a glass of Jack and Coke. And I went, nope, hadn't done it. Like they ran me through the process and something changed. And
Mm.
so at that point, I knew they didn't really have research. They had more in-house type research, but I also knew for the clinical piece and the academia world, you really needed to have that evidence-based practices. And
Yeah.
volunteered my time in creating all of the pre and post assessments. And I had reached out to different universities, and Arizona State University contacted me back, and I had set up a meeting with them, and they agreed to do a study for us. That study was actually published in August of 2024.
Okay.
And currently, Arizona State University has 2 other studies that are in peer review. One of those I've actually co authored with them. And then we're working on 2 other studies this year.
Awesome. Exciting stuff. Let's give the listeners a little bit more context into 22ZERO. So
Yes.
you work with veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families, if I'm not mistaken. What is the mission of the organization? What do you guys actually practically do?
So if you are a veteran, then you're going to automatically know what 22 is, and even with a first responder. So on average, And even back when 22 started 7 years ago, on average, there are 22 veterans or active duty members that die a day by suicide. My job is to take that to zero. Our mission clients are going to be the armed forces, any branch, any time served, deployed or not deployed. Yes, we do include the National Guard as well. That is, some nonprofits don't include National Guard, but they get deployed just as easily as the other branches. And
Yeah.
then first responders, which are going to be law enforcement, fire, EMT, paramedic, and 911 dispatchers and corrections. Spouses and minor children living in the home and Gold Star families are covered at no cost. It is a peer program. Basically, what we do is one, it's all fully remote, but it's based off of the NLP world, the neurological linguistic programming. Trauma is not a disorder, it is an injury, and it's an injury that can heal more
Mm,
neurologically. And so with our peer program, you remain at home. It's fully remote. You don't have to go anywhere. We don't report to the VA. And if you're a first responder, we do not report to your employer. But basically, we heal the trauma. So I give the illusion of whatever that event is that's stuck in that immediate,
mm.
cortex right at that moment that's causing someone to be in that fight or flight freeze portion. Then what we do, we heal that, but we go all the way back and get what we call ACEs, and that's going to be adverse childhood experiences as well. So by the time you're done, we're going to heal all the trauma. Trauma, the content doesn't change, but what happens is trauma neurologically gets stuck in the amygdala, which is that fight or flight, or you're wanting to freeze within certain moments. And in order for us to get that transferred over to the other side of the brain with the hippocampus, we want to run you through the process. It's not talk therapy, you're doing the work. Basically, we are guiding you. And then the other piece to that is so many that have trauma, so many of them have not slept in years or had what we call that deep sleep, that REM, the rapid eye movement sleep. And we see so many that after they've gone through the process, they'll say, oh my gosh, I slept for 10 hours or 15 hours. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because what's happening when you're getting that sleep, the brain is processing so that while that content is there, it makes it neutral so that you're not triggering.
Wow, that's super interesting. That's so cool that you use NLP. I'm a big fan of NLP, just in general, and I never really thought about it for this type of use case. I'm super curious because I saw on your LinkedIn page that there's actually no cost to veterans or first responders. How is that possible? Like, how do you guys make that work from an organizational standpoint? Is it just funding that comes in? What does that look like?
Absolutely correct. There is no cost to our mission clients that I had mentioned earlier, the armed forces, first responders, Gold Star families, spouses, and minor children living in the home. We strictly rely on donations and fundraisers to fund the mission.
Wow.
So while it was incorporated in Florida 7 years ago, we operate fully remote. So my peer coaches and board members, social worker, everyone is across the US. But ultimately, what happens is there is no cost. We do not bill insurance.
Wow.
Strictly, we rely on those donations to fund the mission. And it's a nonprofit, so it's a tax write off. So
Yeah.
you're able to sponsor a veteran or active duty or first responder or Gold Star family. You can sponsor them
Mm.
receiving that treatment because they're not going to be paying for those sessions. And the
Yeah.
average number of sessions is 2 to 4.
Got it. Got it. So the people that are donating get the tax write-off. How do you get the word out there? So if it's all about donations and fundraising, what does that actually look like to tell people about your mission and to get more donations?
Word of mouth is one of the big ways that 22 continues to go and grow, is for those that have gone through the process. They'll, can I recommend my friends, or can I, hey, I've got my niece, cousin, nephew, whoever, my son is active duty. Absolutely. We're not going to turn them away. But so word of mouth, social media, we are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Go to the pages like our pages, invite your friends to follow us and to be a part of it. And just over the weekend, one of my ambassadors, who is also a Marine veteran, that he's now in the music world, he actually did a concert and donated funds to 22 That was the
Oh,
whole purpose of him going to Florida and doing that concert, was to raise some funds. So if you're out there and you want to be a supporter of the mission, because at the end of the day, it's not about one person. It's not just about what I do. It's about a team. And those that are with 22 it is a team effort. I don't need any glory. I don't want any of that stuff. All I want to do is make sure I leave nobody behind. Um,
mm,
and there's a personal reason for that. My husband was a veteran. He
mm,
served 26 years and he was in Desert Storm.
wow.
And Nick actually worked with him in December of 2021, and he was able to get rid of that trauma, and he understood the mission. He knew the mission, but from the time he and I got together, it was always ingrained in me, you leave nobody behind. And
Mm,
so I knew that. And just before he passed away, before he went into that deep sleep, the last thing he said was, I love you. Do everything you can to leave nobody behind, bring them home. And that's what I'm
wow.
going to do.
That's powerful. Good for you. And it's amazing the mission that you guys are on. The fact that you're having a concert in Florida to raise awareness just shows that the message is growing and expanding. What do you feel like are the biggest challenges you're facing right now? Because I'm sure there's people listening that resonate with with your mission and your message that could potentially help out in some way.
One of the areas that we're always working on is going to be funding, making sure that we have the secure funding to continue the mission. The other is going to be the growth, reaching more veterans, first responders, active duty, making sure that growth is there so that the word is out, that there
Yeah,
is a resource. And the other piece to that, like I said, it's not talk therapy, but we do not report to the VA. And I can't tell you the number of times I've had veterans say, how does this affect my rating? And this is what I always say. As far as I'm concerned, you earned that rating. No one's going to know you went through our process unless you tell them. It's just not
yeah.
going to happen.
Do you have you run any paid advertisements to promote the programs?
We have.
Okay.
Past leadership did. They've done that in the past, and there's wasn't really any financial means reciprocated back for having that paid advertising. We don't do that because we do pay our peer coaches. Our coaches are veterans and first responders across the U.S. as well that are working with each other, hence that peer program. And so we have tried that in the past.
Yeah. And you have tried it for the fundraising side or for the program side?
It was for both.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Because my thought would be that would probably be efficient or effective when it comes to bringing in more veterans into your program to increase awareness. Now, the tough part is there is no cost. The great part about it is there is no cost about it to it for the veterans. But if you're running ads, it's like there's just money going in and we don't know if we're going to get people from it or not. And there's no money coming back in,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That makes 100% sense because that's what happened before. To me, it was not for the funding that went out for that. It was not what I had expected it to be
Fair enough.
and turn around. Yes.
Yeah. When you think about the future and your vision, what are maybe some initiatives, some priorities that you have, things that you want to implement to grow and scale this even further?
To answer that, one of the things, there were two things that have been done since I took over leadership a couple of years ago, and I created an ambassador program.
Okay.
And the ambassador program are going to be those who have actually been through the process, who they believe in the mission, and so they're our ambassadors. The other piece to that is one of those ambassadors who is also in the music industry. So he and I had a meeting last year, and he said, have you thought about letting them turn their stories into a song? And I said,
Mm,
I actually have not, but
mm,
that I know my limitations, and that's not my strong suit. I can't sing. My family will tell you I can't sing as well. And I said, that's just not my strong suit. And he said, what about us starting that? What about letting, the mission clients and those connected to 220 that want to share their story and make it into a song. Let's do that. So I prayed about it, and I'll be one to say I'm going to pray about something. And so I did, but that's how our new program came about this year. In January, it started, and it's called 220 Heroes Untold Stories. And so right now we have 7 of our veterans and first responders that are working with our ambassadors, and those songs will be published. And then we're always, any of our mission clients that have gone through the process, they have that option to do that as well, and there's no cost to them. I
Yeah.
have several ambassadors that are now in the music world, and so we are letting them get their stories out. So
Awesome.
in going back to the question, making sure that that awareness, making sure that information is out there to our mission clients about 220. And once we recognize that there's a need for something, then we're going to look and see how that aligns with the mission of 220 and bring it into play.
It's exciting. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
How does somebody become an ambassador?
So typically, I've had it both ways. We've got one of our ambassadors that's not a veteran, but he has lost some of his best friends died after coming back home, and he's in the music world. And he actually, excuse me, he released last year, about this time last year, in the middle of 22. And so his agent is the one who reached out to me and said, "Hey, could we possibly have a conversation because your mission aligns with this song?" And I said, "Sure." So I met with him and his wife, and the mission definitely aligned. He did try to get in the military, but because of medical issues, he was not able to go into the military. But he, while he was not actually a veteran, his heart and his passion and his commitment to, because he lost so many of his best friends who died by suicide when they came back from being
Mm.
deployed. And so we
Yeah.
have some that are, even if they are not a veteran, I put them through the
Cool.
process just so they can understand. But for those that would like to be an ambassador, reach out to me and talk with me.
Yeah.
My email is Dr. Arnell, the RARN as in Nancy, ELL at 220.org. The numbers on the website come to my
Awesome.
phone, including the 800 number as well.
Awesome. I love that. I actually thought of my friend who is a veteran. He also coaches veterans. I think it has to do with something around their claims. Like he helps them get more or claim a higher percentage. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know that he does a lot of coaching and a lot of consulting with them. So I would love to connect you two. And I think he'd be a great ambassador and get some of his clients to join into your programs and to raise more awareness there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do know what the claims is. There are so many, basically what that means is they're given a rating. And so in order to get a rating for the time served for medical conditions or wounds that are not visible, which would be
Mhm.
trauma, you have to file a claim with the government, with the VA. And in doing that, it's a long process, but it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I understand what he's doing, and kudos to him because there are so many more that should be able to help within the
Yeah.
the claims side of it, because
Yeah.
it's a lot, and it's very much overwhelming. So
It is from what he's told me, some of his clients would get thousands of dollars extra per month that they
mhm,
otherwise wouldn't have. And I'm like, wow, that is huge. That's
yes,
having, especially in today's economy with prices and everything, right?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that goes back to what I said earlier. If you do have trauma, you don't have to worry about us reporting to the VA. As far as I'm concerned, you've earned every bit of that rating. I just
Mm.
want you healed from the trauma. I want you out of
Yeah.
the triggers. I want you to imagine what it would look like for you and your family to no longer have the trauma, to no longer have those triggers, and have a healthy family. Imagine what that would
Yeah.
look like.
I love that so much. Dr. Pamela, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
having me.
So to reach Dr. Pamela, again, I'm going to say it one more time because I think it's important. Dr. Arnell at 220.org. That's DRARNELL at 220.org. Anything else you want to leave us off with before I let you go?
Most importantly, thank you for asking me to come on and share about the mission. But if you're listening, if you are were in the armed forces, first responder, even retired, and you're struggling, Gold Star family, please reach out. I just want to see you healed from that trauma.
I love that. So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you're a business owner and you're looking to scale your company and really enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.